And one thing that's come out more and more often is people have a lot of fear and anxiety about the future. And how interesting is this? And I was listening to Joe Dispenza, and if you haven't checked Joe Dispenza out, please do check him out. He says a human being has 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And that's, now he talks from a science perspective. 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day every human being has. And this is the next thing he said was amazing. He said that the thoughts, 90% of your thoughts were the same thoughts that you've had the day before. So if you are in a certain rut in your life, it's because your thoughts, 90% of your thoughts are repeating over and over again, and it's creating this field of energy around you. So if you're constantly wondering and worried about the future, and yes, I am, if you're worried about what's going to happen in the future, why do I have so much fear? It's only because you thought about that all the time, and your subconscious is now just kind of settling into that mode. So how do you change that? How do you move forward without fear? And so Joe Dispenza says we think 60 to 70,000 thoughts. Those thoughts actually lead to a certain behavior, which lead to a certain experience, which lead to a certain emotion, and those emotions that were spawned by that thought create the new thoughts. So if your thoughts lead to an emotion that's aligned with that thought, that emotion comes back and reinforces that thought. Now that's very interesting. How do you break out of that thought? Now that's one thing that a lot of people have not really found a formula for, breaking out of that thought. And I wanted to share with you today how we could do that, how you could actually break out of that thought. And it's not an overnight thing. It's not something that will happen immediately, but I want you to stick with it. And here's why. Your thoughts create your experiences, which then create your behavior, and then create your emotions, which then reinforce the thought. So the idea is change your thought. Now, can you change your thought authentically? If you change your thought authentically, then yes, you will change your behavior. But how do you get from a thought of fear to one that says, well, I'm not in fear anymore, but I'm still immersed in that feeling? So the idea is to fake it till you make it. And here's why. And I'll explain to you the analogy of why that is. And then I want to then go back to how you want to change your thought. Okay? If you've got a field, a huge field of grass, and you walk down that grass, first time you're creating a path. So if you keep doing that all the time, and that's an analogy for your thought patterns and your behavior, you do that, you actually create a path in that field. But next time, if you want to change that path, you're so accustomed to going down that path that you will tend towards that path. So if you want to shift that path, i.e. shift your thought patterns, go to the next path. Now when you walk down the next path, you will always see that there's an actual path that people have created that's already there. But you're creating a new path. And creating a new path, when you come back the next day, it's not as established path, and your brain may not see that path. It'll move over to the already established path. What you have to do is continue on that path until you create that path that is as obvious to anybody coming there as was the other path. Now here is the interesting part, and this is how your brain works. The interesting part is that while you're walking on the other path, you are not walking on that path, which means grass is growing over that path. And pretty soon, in about 20 days or so, that path will be covered with grass. It won't even exist for you. You will have the new path. If your thought is one that creates an emotion that is fearful, will create the same thought. Now we just shifted onto the new path. When you shift onto the new path, it feels odd. And when it feels odd, you'll usually tend towards that path. But if you keep on it for 21 days, then you will actually get that path created. And then pretty soon, the thought that you will have will be a new thought, will create a new experience, new emotion, and will reinforce that thought over and over and over again. And that's what we want to tend to. That's the physics and the science behind changing your thought patterns. Now, how do you move? And I know we're wondering, how do you move from the path that we're always going on, our thought patterns, to this new path? Now, we've known since the 1800s, we meaning the scientific community, have known since the 1800s that the heart And that's the topic of today. The heart sends more information to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. As a matter of fact, there are two huge conduits, like fiber optic cables, that go from your body into your brain, and they're called the vagus nerves. And they go into the brain from the body. And scientists have actually measured how much information is flowing in each direction. And what they've shown is that majority of the information flows from the body to the brain, and majority of that information that flows from the body to the brain is coming from the heart. And they've actually reclassified the heart as a hormone system. Your heart actually produces hormones that back off stress hormones. So if you want to back off stress hormones, which are caused by the thoughts that you're having that are not serving you well, perhaps at the time, then the heart produces the hormones that backs off the stress hormones. So what we want to do is engage the heart. There's more information going from the heart to the brain than brain to the heart. So the heart is the captain. And the way to do this, a very simple technique, and I'll walk you through it. This is inspired by the folks at HeartMath. And what it does is, the first step is to actually engage the heart. So if you engage the heart, essentially what you want to do is, just by engaging the heart, all you have to do is place awareness in the area of the heart. That's all you have to do. That's where we tell the heart, okay, you're ready to drive. You're driving the system. You're taking control away from your subconscious thoughts to more of a conscious area. So the heart is now controlling 90% of the automatic functions in your body, like digestion, enzyme release, all those things. 90% of your functions in your body, critical functions, are actually being automatically done by the heart. So what you're doing is you're saying, I'm now taking over here. Now I'm going to send proper information to the brain so my body can reset. And the idea there is, now place your awareness in the area of the heart and take slow, deep breaths, and visualize these breaths flowing in and out of your heart. And so let's do that. Let's do that together. Let's do that right now. Okay, so visualize the area around your heart. Take slow, deep breaths and flowing into your heart and out of your heart. Deep breaths in your heart, flowing out of your heart. I've actually seen this. I've actually seen your heart rate, average heart rate, drop when you do this for a few minutes. And what I've also seen is, when I've disconnected, I've got the M-Wave unit that I put on in my workshops. You clip it onto your ear, you see your heart rate variability. When I do this and people are slowing their heart rhythms down, there's an actual meter that says how coherent they are. Coherence meaning your heart and your brain are working exceedingly well together, fully optimized. Place awareness around your heart and take deep, slow breaths flowing in and out of your heart. Do this technique for 15 minutes a day, and we'll do it before we close off to kickstart your day. That's what we want to do. Do it for 15 minutes a day and try it for 21 days. So let's do this together. We'll do it for a few breaths, and then I will say goodbye to you, and then you continue on. And whenever you come across a situation in your day that you're having this fearful thoughts, connect with your heart and take those deep breaths, and let's slow it down a bit. And when you do that, all of a sudden your thoughts will actually be commensurate, because what will happen is you'll drop into your heart, you'll take those slow deep breaths, you will all of a sudden feel less fearful. And I guarantee you that, because I've seen it happen all the time. You'll feel less fearful, you'll be open to more possibilities, and then you can actually see the situation from a different perspective. And if you keep doing that, the fearful thoughts will go into more optimistic thoughts, which means you still don't know what the future holds, but you will be optimistic, which means you will now begin to attract what you require. So place your awareness in the area of your heart. So and some people have a hard time kind of doing that, which is okay. And what I tell people in my workshops is, just take your hand and place it on your heart. And when you do that, all of a sudden the awareness goes to that. So if you are having a hard time placing awareness in your heart area, place your hand there. Now take deep, slow breaths and visualize these flowing in and out of your heart area, very slowly and gently and deeply. Now, do not strain yourself when you're taking these deep breaths. Take them with a gentle disposition. Put a gentle smile on your face when you're doing this. So let's do this for a few breaths. Continue feeling this amazing feeling when you take those deep breaths, flowing in and out of your heart. And notice how you're feeling. So continue doing this while I'm talking through it. Notice how you're feeling right now and lock that in. That is your natural state of feeling. That's what you should be feeling all the time. And you will only feel that if you practice this, just like the grass example that I gave you before. When you trodden on the grass, you create a new path. The grass will grow over the old path because you will not even see it. You'll get the new path and it's created. And all you're doing now is creating a new perspective from which you will look for new paths to forge. But you couldn't have seen that possibility of the new path from the old path. You had to move here to get a different perspective. And when you keep doing this breath technique, continue to do that, you will begin to open up that. Now, this breath technique is a foundation for all the other heart math techniques. You can also check out my blogs on my website. I've got some blogs around some of these techniques I've put on there. So I'm going to sign off now. Continue to do this technique for 15 to 20 minutes a day for 21 days, and then send me a note, tell me how it was. All right? So if you have any questions, feel free to message me. For now, I am going to sign off, and it was wonderful that you joined me today. Thank you so much. You honor me. Appreciate it.